I'm going to give the call to the Honourable Rick Mazza. The Honourable Rick Mazza.
Thank you, Mr Deputy President. I'd like to thank the Honourable Aaron Stonehouse for bringing this very important disallowance motion to the House. And as members who were here last term would know, this is not the first time that we've had a disallowance motion on firearms fees. In fact, in 2013, when we had quite a significant increase in fees, up to 400%, the Labor Party, which is now in government, were outraged at this increase. And in fact, I remember standing with the Honourable Samantha Rowe and the Honourable Steve Dawson in support of supporting that disallowance motion, along with many others from the Labor Party who were here last term of government. In fact, indeed, Mr Deputy President, you crossed the floor on a very rare occasion to also support that disallowance motion, to put your case forward, and I think in your words you said it was a very clunky, very inefficient system. Mr Deputy President, that then led, of course, to an inquiry by the Delegated Legislation Committee, report number 68. And in the executive summary of that report, the committee identified 4 matters. One was the processing of applications for firearm licence fees. 2, the opportunity for error in such processing. The noting fee for additional firearms on certain existing licences, and the cost of licences in other jurisdictions. The other thing I note in that report is what is cost recovery. The committee, in determining that, said that cost recovery in Western Australia, in the West Australian policy, to recover some or all of costs of a particular activity or product. Cost recovery is usually not undertaken with a view to generate profit, and this distinguishes it from the pricing objectives of government business enterprises. Used appropriately, cost recovery can provide a means of improving the efficiency with which government products and services are produced and consumed. Charges for goods and services can send an important message to users or their customers about resources involved. It may also improve equity by ensuring that those who use government products and services or who create a need for regulation bear the costs. However, cost recovery may not be warranted where it is not cost effective, or it would be inconsistent with government policy objectives, or it would unduly stifle competition within the industry. So I think it gets back to the point of things being cost effective. And in fact, Mr Deputy President, when the then Chair, Mr Peter Abetz in the other place, presented that report to the Assembly, he made some comments. In those comments he said, if an agency has a costing methodology and the amended fee is under recovery or a cost recovery, then accept the increase. On the basis of that resolution, the committee concluded that the amended regulations are within the powers of the Firearms Act 1973. However, the committee received many unsolicited submissions regarding the fee increases. It considered the quantum of fees further by holding a public hearing. The committee resolved to advise the House of 4 controversial matters, which I covered those 4 controversial matters. Some fees were increased by 400%. I can well imagine that anyone in the community who has to pay an annual fee that suddenly goes up by 400% would not be thrilled by that prospect. And many in the firearms community certainly weren't thrilled by that prospect. Mr Deputy President, that then led, of course, to the then government commissioning a review by the Law Reform Commission into a review of the Firearms Act, and there were a number of matters that were covered within the Law Reform Commission report, and one of those surrounded efficiencies. Now, Mr Deputy President, the Honourable Aaron Stonehouse did point out the answer to a question I got, that there was a new system put in place at a cost of $8.6 million. That covers security guards, pawnbroking as I understand it, but predominantly it's the firearms registry that it covers. Now, the idea of putting that system in place is obviously to create efficiencies in the times that processing would take without jeopardising the security of the firearms registry system, but also to bring costs down over time. That hasn't happened. In fact, all we've seen is a continuation in fee increases, albeit this one's only CPI. It has been a steady increase. There's been no reduction, significant reduction over that time. The processing times are no more efficient. In fact, the Law Reform Commissioners, I'm using my memory here, had suggested that within 12 or 18 months of that system being in place, and I think that system was in place around April last year, there should be a review, and that police should provide information on the performance of that system. We're yet to see that, Mr Deputy President. So, look, I'll be supporting this disallowance motion. I have a lot more to say on it, but I'm very mindful of the time that there are other speakers. Thank you.